Hey guys, welcome to a special episode of That New Show. Today we have one of the guitarists of one of my favorite bands ever, with such hits as Paralyzer, One Thing, Stay in Shadow, Living in a Dream, and with a new CD coming out next year, he's able to join us. I am joined by Rick Jackett of Finger 11. Rick, how you doing today?
I'm doing very well, man. Very well.
It's great.
Thanks for having me on the internet.
Thanks a lot for actually coming on here.
No,
Let's go right on into the new CD. Do you have a title yet for it?
we don't. It's been narrowed down to a few, but we haven't come up with one yet. It was one of those decisions we left till the music was made, till we felt we could hear the record in its entirety and sort of get a flow, and we'll title it afterwards.
Yeah.
So.
You've made so many CDs with, I believe this is your sixth, but it's your seventh, including Letters from Chutney.
That's right.
Do you find it after making so many CDs, is it difficult to make it different, or is it even easier now because you've had so much experience with it?
I think there's definitely a comfort in the studio that we didn't have at the very beginning. It's become like our second home. There's not as many nerves in the studio, therefore there's more of a willingness to try things. But I think just being in a band for this many years and having this much music made, we're constantly finding ways to challenge ourselves and evolve the sound, which I feel, truthfully, what we might have done more on this record than even the last couple of records. So this one, I think, is definitely another evolution for the band. So
Nice. According to your bio on your website, you state that going to New York helped shape your most previous CD, Life Turns Electric. Did you guys find anything special to help shape this record?
yeah, I mean, truthfully, Dave Cobb, the guy who produced it, and Chris Powell, the drummer that played on it, they brought a real atmosphere. There was already an atmosphere in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
It's just such a musical city, but there's a real spontaneity to the way the musicians make music down there because their skill level is so high. They can do things on the fly and really sort of rip off ideas fast. And it's not traditionally the way we've worked. We tend to take time and overthink things. So it was nice to combine those two philosophies and sort of get this mash of some songs that we'd have for a while with a brand new twist on them and a brand new spontaneity injected into them. So just the crew that we worked with down there and the city itself really brought that again. It tends to happen wherever we've been lucky enough to make records in Toronto and Chicago and New York, and it does, you tend to bring in something about the atmosphere of the city. It sneaks its way on the record. So
Awesome. Do you ever write a song and just when you finish it going, boom, that's going to be the big single? Or do other producers say, we're going to push this one because we like this more?
Truthfully, I think we like every song we write. So anytime we finish any song, we're just like, yes, this is the best one yet. And it's always, our newest is always our best in our opinion because we're just so excited about it. But the truth is, on the two biggest singles we've ever had with One Thing and Paralyzer, there was a very instant feeling of wow, there's some, I mean, you never know how well it's going to do, but when you've written a song that seems to be a little special or something. There's just, if it's not in yourself, it's the first person that hears it. There's an undeniability that their attention is brought to the singles. Now, like I said, we've had songs in the past that we thought were singles and other people heard them and thought they were special, but then the trends weren't happening in the right time or whatever reason, we put it out in the public and it doesn't succeed. But those two in particular, they were definitely standouts when we wrote them. So
You kind of answered another question I was going to ask. Did you guys ever write a song and think, yes, it's cool, but you listen to it later and you're just like, why did we write this?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, over the years for sure. To be honest, because we made the first Rainbow Butt Monkey record at such a young age, I think we felt like a lot of the stuff that got on that record was sort of it happened so fast that maybe after that record was done, we thought, hey, we need to really think about what we're going to put out there that represents us as musicians and as a band. And ever since that record, we were a lot more filtered and about which songs made it through. There was a lot more scrutiny put on the songwriting. And I think a few maybe it probably depends on which guy you ask. You know what I mean? Some of us it might be a musical, there could be a few lyrics I didn't think. But for the most part, I gotta say we're pretty proud of our entire musical collection.
Nice. Did you ever think starting from when you guys were Rainbow Butt Monkeys and transferring over to Finger 11, now flash forward to today, did you guys ever think that you would even like still to this day be making music?
I mean, I think we always wanted that to be the case, like everybody does when they start. And I think there was a moment along the way that we saw the real potential and we made the sacrifices that were necessary. We haven't had real jobs since we were teenagers. This has been our only thing. If it's making money or not making money, we still stuck with it. There was a lot of years where we were sleeping on couches and, you know, sleeping in vans and that kind of thing to make it. But I don't think we ever in our wildest dreams had imagined it to take on the success level it has, especially with the songs we mentioned when they took off in the States, and all of a sudden there's gold records and this kind of thing. I think a long time ago we sort of gave up on the idea of us having gold records and that kind of thing. And so when that happened, that was a real surprise and a real treat because we appreciated it when it was going on. So.
Yeah. By the way, I just noticed this. I like the little TIE fighter just like sitting there in the corner.
Oh yeah, it's my entire Star Wars collection.
Oh
All my
God.
toys, man.
That
Most
is
of them from my
awesome.
childhood, but a lot of them I've collected in the meantime. So.
That's awesome. When did you guys? What moment in your life did you realize you guys made it big?
You know what? It happened there's been a few steps in that. Because every time I thought we made it big, something got bigger, and it was like, whoa, like it never, the very first one was when we won the radio contest. That's the Rainbow Butt Monkeys. We left high school on the Friday, and no one knew who the band was. And on the Monday, we were signing record contract, and all of a sudden we were big deal, in Burlington, and that was a cool moment because there was a lot of bands playing at that time, and we actually had this break, which was awesome. Then there was, I gotta say, there was a moment when we were, we toured with Ozzy on a cross Canada tour. That was a definite moment where I never thought I'd be sharing. Like it was just us and Ozzy Osbourne across Canada, and that was a real trip. That was like something that I thought was only a place for like real bands to be. I never thought we'd be one of those bands, So for us, that was a huge moment. Playing Paralyzer during the Miss American Bikini portion of the Miss America pageant, that was like, whoever thought that would happen. There was some pretty crazy, and shaking hands with just like like these sort of celebrities and these weird, and being. We've always just loved the music, and we've always followed where the music leads us, and it's led us to some pretty awesome places over the years.
That's awesome. Over the years, you've played for many different drummers. Starting off with like Rob Gomerman, like back in the Rainbow Butt Monkey days, and even when Tip came out, your first CD as Finger 11, and then you had Rich Bedeau, and you've had, of course, different studio drummers as well. Do you feel a difference in flow with certain people when you play with a new drummer?
Yeah, definitely. I think each drummer brings their own personality into their playing. I think, yeah, definitely. I think it's that way with any musician. If you play with a different bass player, different guitar player, the drumming on this record is definitely you would hear the difference in styles, but I think it's every one of them's been enjoyable. Do you know what I mean? Like it tends to be what the songs call for at the moment. So
awesome. What was your favorite CD to make?
Well, to be honest, the making of the Finger 11, the self-titled CD, was a lot of fun. That was a really cool moment. That was our first big American record where we went to Chicago for a while, and I think the band, all five of us were firing on all cylinders, and it was a really creative process and a lot of fun. And we knew we wanted to make some major changes on that record from the previous record. So there was a lot of experimentation, a lot of writing. That was a lot of fun. I mean, every record has its own rewards and its own struggles, Greatest of Blue Skies was a lot of hard work. It ultimately was one of the more rewarding records when it was finished. A bit of a struggle during the actual making process, but yeah, I'd have to say that the self-title was probably the most fun one.
Yeah, I really like the self-titled CD because that was the first CD that I heard from you guys because I heard you guys from 1080 Avalanche.
Oh,
so,
right.
Because before then I was like, okay, I just know one thing, like, okay, this is a good song, and then I hear Good Times, like, okay, this is completely different aspects.
Yeah, for sure,
Threw me off for a loop.
Yeah, it's funny. Well, on that note, I gotta say this present record, it was a lot of fun to make. There was not a lot of, actually there was zero arguments about music. There was zero there's usually a couple of frustrating moments where you don't see eye to eye and someone has to win the battle. This one had none of that. It was really laid back. There had been a lot of great ideas to go down there with, and then like I said, Dave brought a lot of spontaneity and excitement to the songs, and that so this one was a lot of fun too. But back to the 1080, I love that. I'm such a video game geek that like when that came out, I literally muted all the other band songs and
Yeah.
just played it to Finger 11 songs. And like I was like, this is a really nerdy thing to do, but this is a dream come true. Like that's the kind of stuff for me that's a dream come true. Being a guy who's played games my whole life, to be playing to our own songs, a real game like a great game like that, that was so fun. Yeah.
I was gonna ask like a question like, what was it like to like hear one of your songs in a game?
Oh, it's a trip, man. I mean, it's happened a few times, and every time it's I don't know. It feels like it's very exciting, to be honest. You know, I already get immersed in those games, and when it's our music, it's just like I just get lost in it. So.
Well, it's also like you guys aren't only in games. You also have been in. You're in the soundtrack for Scream 3 because you could hear Suffocate in the background.
Yeah.
You also are in the Texas Chainsaw. I believe the remake, not the beginning, but the Texas Chainsaw. But for some reason, they had you under Stand-In Shadow. That's just a little nerd thing that I picked up on.
Yeah, that kind of stuff's annoying for sure.
Oh yeah, I nerd raged for a little bit. What is it like to like see like do they approach you to be in the soundtrack, or like same with the WWE how you had Slow Chemical, which by the way, awesome song, one of my favorites. Like do they approach you, or do you be like, hey, we have this song, do you want it?
It's a bit of both. For the movies and the TVs, it's usually like, hey, like we have a song and we say like, you know, some songs when you listen to them, you can tell that they could fit in to like a movie sequence or an action sequence, or so there's songs that we sort of pick out of our batch and be like, hey, see if anybody can use these. You know, there's been a few instances where someone's found it and come to us and ask if they can use it. In the Kane. For the WWE, that song was written specifically for Kane. That was just an opportunity that they gave us. That honestly, I think it was originally given. The opportunity was given to Creed, and they were having problems at the time, so they were like, "Oh, give it to Finger." Like they literally passed the opportunity on to us, and we were like, "Sure, that'd be awesome." And it was funny. We weren't going to do it because originally the wrestlers that were left over, we were like, we can't write badass songs for these guys. Like, you know, it was like they were the goofy wrestlers, you know. So when Kane became available, it was like, oh, all we could think about was writing like sort of like a Darth Vader style march to hit, so he'd come out being tough to it, you know. And that whole thing was up in the air until like the last second, and we were watching Monday Night Raw at a bar in Burlington. And all of a sudden it came on, and we're like, "Oh, he's using it." We had no idea he was going to use it, and then he went on to have a major run as like the champion and all this stuff. And it was a cool time to be involved in that for sure.
Well, what's even funny is like seeing him in See No Evil, and then when he comes out, I'm just thinking like that nice little intro. It's like, oh, I'm the only one that's probably getting this right now, but it's so worth it.
That's cool.
Going back to some other songs, I know that you have a whole bunch of like unreleased stuff. Like you mostly put them in your CD Us versus Then versus Now. Like you had Sacrifice, Unspoken, Then versus You versus Me, which was on the Canadian version of that CD, but wasn't in the American version. Can you explain like the process, like what songs get cut or like why they get cut?
Most of the times it's just sort of like, you know, if anything, you're talking about sort of like regrets or songs that snuck through. I think we have a few more where we didn't include them when we look back and we're like, we should have put that on the record. I don't know. It's such a finicky thing at this moment when you have the finished product, and it's like whatever doesn't give you that like super goosebump moment, it tends to, even if it's still good, it just tends to fall off the scale a bit. So usually it's just a matter of like, does it fit? Does it create a lull on the record? If there's too many lulls on the record, then we tend to like just. No, we're very aware that all the music doesn't go anywhere, right? So it's going to get heard at some point and somehow, especially now. You could release anything that you want every day if you wanted. So we're really more worried at the moment of like creating an album, a record that flows, and if something gets in the way of that, it usually gets left on. So
I know someone would kill me if I didn't ask this question. What is that one thing?
I don't know, man. I didn't.
You don't even know.
Yeah. You know what? I think Scott. I don't even know honestly if Scott really knows. Like, I think he's poetic enough to to be honest about that. Like I think it's more of a representative thing, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think even if he did know, I know he wouldn't tell anybody because he and I and all of us would feel like it could ruin that experience for the listener. Like the whole point of the song or of music is so you can escape into it and use it to deal with your daily your thing, right? So it's a lot more personal when it's anybody's thing, you know what I mean? Versus if it was about a fucking teddy bear, that would ruin the song for everybody, right? You know what I mean? So it's like it's not.
It's
right?
about his sled. It was his sled all along.
But yeah, I think the mystery of it is probably better than the answer. But the truth is, I don't know. Even if I knew, I couldn't
Nice.
tell you.
What song do you love playing live?
Um, it changes. It changes quite a bit. I love playing Slow Chemical live. The guitar riff in the chorus of that song is one of my favorite guitar riffs to play. I love playing that song. I mean, it really changes depending on even the day or the mood we're in. Some days if I'm angry, the slow songs aren't so much, and some days if I'm mellow, the slow songs are better. But I always, the truth is, I always got to kick it up with one thing. I think it's a neat moment because I think in the set it's usually preceded by a lot of heavy songs, so it's something that the audience doesn't sort of see coming or even remember is something that we do. And it's sort of this moment where like everybody stops and sings along, no matter if they're moshing or if they're bored in the back or if they're drunk, passed out somewhere. They sort of step up and sing along to the song, and it's always been a great moment.
Yeah,
So.
I've seen you guys twice, and like it always when one thing came on, it was the entire audience just like in unison just sang along. It was a very like uniting moment. It was a really cool moment as well.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's been a repeating moment in shows that we always just sort of get a giggle. If you listen closely, you can usually hear one of us laughing on stage because it's just like, this is amazing.
You guys have toured all over the place. You've toured across Canada, across the U.S. Which, by the way, who's better? Like, which fans are better, Canadian or America? I'm gonna kind of put you on the spot on that one.
You know what? We've discussed this before, and I don't really see a difference. I think if anything, it's more about the pockets in the countries. Like there's good places in Canada and bad places in Canada. There's good places in America. There's bad. It's really wherever rock still lives, wherever rock's the strongest. Those are always the best for us. But I mean, the Southeast, like for us, like Florida, that's always been a huge place for us to come and play and have great response. Alberta, out in Canada in the west side, it's or I guess more in the middle. It's great. Like Edmonton, Alberta is a real rock town still, and we get great responses out there. But really, it just depends on the city more than the country, I think.
Nice. What's your favorite place to perform at?
I mean, I don't know. This is just a sort of a weird generalistic answer, but I love the West Coast. There's something about the vibe on the West Coast, all up and down North America. Versus it doesn't have to be Canada or the States, but there's just such a laid back and an openness over there that I tend to have a lot more fun when we do shows over there. So.
When you guys tour, like, what do you, besides playing a show that day? What is something that you guys do, like in your off time?
Really, it's a lot of games, a lot of video games, and then a lot of just reading and hanging out and listening to music. Like pretty much the first couple of hours of the day will be private for everybody, and then we'll all just convene in the bus if it's the back lounge or the front lounge. And if we're not playing like a 4-on-4 video game, then it's usually just certain style of music in the front lounge and a different style in the background. And it's just constantly everybody showing each other what they've listened to, and daily it's just a trading of musical minds.
Yeah. What are some of the games that you yourself play, and the games that you guys play like collectively?
Well, for a long time we were like massive Halo guys, like forever, like because that was one of the only games you could hook up like at the beginning and play 4-on-4.
Yeah.
So we'd always have the back lounge, and we'd shut the doors, and they'd have the front lounge, and then we'd fight. You'd feel the bus shaking when you kill someone. It was awesome. Best times. I broke my hand once because I ran in, killed everybody, captured the flag, got home, and my buddy ran over me with this warthog, and I died. And then they came and took the flag back, and we lost the match, and I punched the bus wall, and I broke my hand, and I was like, oh, that was stupid.
Nice.
but collectively, yeah, we play a lot of like the fighter games. Nowadays, actually, a lot of the gaming we do is on the iPad with uh, like like digital versions of board games. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? That kind of thing. Um, I've been playing a lot of like on the iPad a lot of Hearthstone and
Nice.
just recently a game called Vainglory, which is great. It's me and Scott have been playing that all the whole studio. But on my PC, I've been living in Dota 2 world. I don't know if you're a Dota guy, but
I'm a League guy. I played Dota when it originally came out, but
okay.
what champions do you play in Dota 2?
I mean, I play them all right now. I'm doing the all hero challenge, so I'm literally just ran through them all. I have four, but for the most part, I like Sven. He's one of my favorite guys. I'm a big fan of like the tanks that go in there and take everybody out. You know, like Kunkka, like with his big cleave and he
Oh
takes it.
yeah.
I love that. You know.
That makes me smile so much because when I played Dota 2, when I played Dota, I was first of all I was god awful at it, but my first champion was Sven, and so like that's all I would play was Sven. So like I know my friends are watching, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, he has a friend now that plays Sven too."
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've been fully immersed in that universe for the last couple of years while we've been writing. It's been my main go-to like time killer. So,
Nice.
um, I'm very familiar with all the heroes. You know, I remember Scott Anderson. He got me into it. He sent me a link or a free demo. I mean, I think the game is free anyway, but he sent me a link to it to start me up, and he's like, "Here." He's like, play this game and read this link before you do. And the website was like, I hope you have 200 hours of free time to learn how to play this game. You won't be good at it at the end of 200 hours. You'll start to understand it. And
Yep.
that intrigued me so much because I was like, how could that be? You know, and sure enough, as soon as I started playing, it was like I looked up and it was like 2 years later. You know.
Oh yeah. I've logged in a lot of hours and I've logged in a lot of deaths.
Yes, yeah. Oh yeah. I'm getting to the point now where I'm just breaking 50-50, I think. So.
Yeah, after like year 3, you're like you start to be a little bit positive. You're like, oh wow, I've only died only 10 times. This is
Yeah,
interesting.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. I can't believe how personal that game gets too.
Oh
That's
yeah.
gets very ragey.
I feel bad because I was playing League earlier and I was playing with my friend and then you got a hold of me and I was like, sorry, gotta go. I'm gonna be interviewing Finger 11, and like I typed in all chat everybody. I'm sorry to be this guy, but something
Right.
super awesome's about to happen.
You know what? I'm the same way. It's got to be a serious moment for me to abandon a game. Like,
Exactly.
I don't think that stuff lightly. You know.
I mean, besides you, who's the best video gamer out of the rest of the group?
Scott for sure.
You
Scott
think
Anderson.
Scott's
Me,
like
me and Scott. Put it this way, me and Scott are. I would say almost like the rivals when it comes to games. Like if we were to play Halo, we couldn't be on the same team because it's either the two of us versus four other people, or we have to be split up. We can't be on the same team because we'll just destroy the other guys.
Nice.
So usually when there's always matchups in those 4-on-4 games, and I'd say James and Sean, they go after each other, and then me and Scott tend to go after each other. So
Nice. So he's the Gary to your Ash, essentially.
pretty much,
Nice.
yeah.
What is like of all time, or at least you can, if you can't name one, you can name 3 or whatever. What are like is your favorite game like ever?
Ever. I mean, I'm a Zelda fan. I'm a Nintendo guy, right? So to me, like I
Mhm.
grew up with Nintendo. So Zelda, like I'm trying to think of like which one I would say was maybe like Link's Awakening was one of the best games I've ever played in my life. Like,
Nice.
and then, uh, you know, I mean, the original Halo was incredible too. When the first time you ever hooked up online and played against strangers and killed everybody and made them swear at you and stuff, that was one of the coolest feelings. There were moments where I felt like I was lost in the wars. You know, like it was a lot of fun. I'm a big Battlefield fan. I love the scope of Battlefield. I love the like when you get a real good fight going on and like the jet fights are having their own fight and the tanks are having their own battle and there's like I was a big fan of Battlefield 2 where there was a commander still and I would play the commander more than I would play the soldiers. So I'd just go find a place and I'd tell everybody where to go and I'd move guys into battle and I'd sacrifice my soldiers, but usually we would win. So
Nice. What game do you like that everyone else like really hates?
World of Warcraft. I played a lot of Warcraft for a lot of years. You know, it gets a bad rap now. I think that's just because it's popular. But that
Yeah.
game is mind blowing. Like that, the first year I played that game, it was unbelievable. The feeling of like how you would get lost in that world. And I was one of those guys that soloed my way up to 90, or I guess back then it was 70. But I I wouldn't team. I wouldn't get in a guild. I wouldn't team up with people. I just liked to pretend I was a dwarf running around this world. So
So that answers my
that's a
question.
game that.
You're
What's that?
alliance. That answers my question. If you're who are Horde or Alliance.
You know what? I'm an alliance guy. I'm an alliance guy. I like to fight the good fight.
Yeah.
You can usually team. I'd rather team up with a bunch of young kids that are happy than teenagers that are pissed off. You know what I mean? They're not.
Yeah.
They're not fun to play. They're fun to play music to, but they're not fun to play games with. So.
Nice. Yeah, I love. I switched. I used to be Horde because my friends were on it, and then I switched over to Alliance, and I just love the Journey and everything. Just love everything about them, so I swapped
Yeah,
over.
me too. Yeah, that's cool.
What's your class?
Well, I have four 90s, but my favorite was Rogue. I love playing the Rogue. I had so many awesome experiences with that guy, especially as a solo player.
Mm-hmm.
You can just do so much more with him, and had some great one-on-one battles with strangers. It was a lot of fun. So.
Nice. If someone kind of going back, back to the music. If someone hasn't heard Finger 11, what songs would you recommend them listen to?
Maybe probably not the singles. Only because as much as I like those songs, I don't know if they truly represent the depth of that the band tries to go. Good Times. I love the song Good Times. I'd be like, that if you don't get this, you probably aren't going to like what we're doing, kind of thing. It's good. Yeah, that's good. I love a lot of the songs off of like Sick of It All off of Greatest Blue Skies. That song. I love the song Temporary Arms off Tip. Those album, like the more mid-tempo album tracks are like sort of my favorite kind of thing.
Yeah. I
And
especially
then,
love the Sick of It All, the Sullen mix off of
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is like, it's, if you listen to them both, like, it's two totally different songs, and it sounds so much. I love the Sullen mix.
Yeah, that was a trip. That was a pretty neat experiment. That was one of the first times we ever took a song and tried to deliver it in a whole brand new way. So
yeah. Going back to the nerdy things, I have no sense of organization right now with these questions.
That's cool.
Of course, I have to ask, since you have the TIE Fighter, you have the Star Wars thing right behind you, what did you think of the new trailer?
I think it's awesome, man. I think it was exciting. I mean, like, I was also not that. I didn't hate the prequels as much as everybody else did. Obviously, the first one wasn't good, but I've just fallen in love with the Phantom edit. I don't know if you ever seen that, but someone took the Phantom Menace and just edited out every most of the kid and most of the talk about the what do they call the trichlorians or whatever, like the thing, and so they just re-edited the movie into mostly just an action flick. It's pretty good, man. It's a lot better than the original edit. But I didn't mind those. They're not awesome, but I think the new stuff promises to be a lot better, a lot cooler. It's sort of J.J. Abrams in some weird way seems to be a bigger fan of Star Wars than George Lucas was. And I don't know how that's possible, but it's almost like the creator can't be a fan. It's too much in his own world. So there's something really exciting about him giving up the reins and letting someone else take a shot at it. And then when you see that trailer, you see the new lightsaber design. I mean, I know it's getting a lot of slack, but that's badass.
I love it. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah. I think it's cool as shit. I think, and that's just the beginning. Once I think there's gonna be a lot of cool variations on the universe in that movies.
How long have you participated in No Shave November?
For years, a decade almost. No, you know what? I every year I get offers from people to shave my beard, and there's no way.
Yeah, don't. No, don't.
No. I always make a joke like it's a playoff beard for the Maple Leafs because I'm a Maple Leafs fan.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe if they won the cup, maybe one day I would shave it.
Don't do it.
But I still won't do it, man. There's no way.
Don't do it.
Too much of a ZZ Top fan to shave.
You guys gave me one of the best concert memories ever back in 2007 when you guys were in Orlando, House of Blues with Hinder and Blackstone Cherry. It was the fact that I got to meet you guys like on the bus, and I got to hop on. Like, I drank tap water. It was the best tap water I ever had. And like, I'm fangirling right now. I was fangirling times 20 back then. So that was my favorite moment. Mind you, that was also like my second concert, so like the
That's
bar
pretty
was
awesome,
set
man.
pretty high.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's fair enough. That's sort of unfair of us to
Yeah,
do that.
yeah.
Like, I don't know, you don't get, no, you don't normally get on tour buses on your
Oh
second
yeah.
concert, so
What
that's
was what's been your favorite concert memory, whether it being playing with Finger Eleven or actually going to a concert?
um, I have a bunch of like, there's too many Finger Eleven memories to almost pick a favorite. Like, um, and it's such a different feeling being on stage versus being in the audience. Most of my favorite concert experiences are from being in the audience. The ones that stick out the most, we saw Blind Melon in Toronto before No Rain had blown up. So right when that first record came out, and they played a small place called Lee's Palace that probably holds like maybe 150 people at the time, and there was like 15 people there. Like there was no one there, but they came out and they tore it up, and they were amazing. And they, we were huge fans, and they came out. And then after the show, they made a point of coming out and hanging out with everybody and sitting around having a drink and stuff. And that was a huge thing for us because we were literally in the studio making the Rainbow Butt Monkey record. We drove to Toronto to see this, and we came home, and it was a good lesson as a band of how to be a cool band. Like no matter who's watching, do your best, and no matter who shows up, be nice to them. Don't punish the people that showed up because you're not happy that the other people didn't show up.
Yeah.
It was a big lesson for us. Just as a pure audience member, I remember when Tool came around on the Anima tour, and sitting in that mosh pit waiting with anticipation because I had never seen them before, and they opened up with No Quarter by Led Zeppelin, and that was one of those, like, my mind was blown. Like I was like, are you telling me Tool's playing Led Zeppelin right now? I don't even know if this is possible, and that was a real moment for me.
I still love that you guys like in some of your shows you'll go from Paralyzer and then you go to Take Me Out and then Take Me Out to Trampled Underfoot and then straight from that to Another Brick in the Wall. Is like, what the heck? And then not only that, you've covered Look at Me by John Lennon. You've also covered Walking in My Shoes. What's the next song that you guys, or what's the song that you want to cover?
You know what? It's always a debate with us. There's always talk about cover tunes because the variety of music that the band listens to as individuals is so wide and it goes all over the place. Right now, there's been talk about doing a Rush song. There's been a few mentions. I won't say because it's not.
Yeah.
The chances of it actually happening, I don't want to give any false hope.
Yeah.
But there's been talk recently about doing a Genesis, like some of the old school Genesis off like Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure, but with us, it can be something we've talked about forever and figured out, or it can be one day someone shows up and it's like, hey, did you hear this song yet? And we're doing this show on. We've been doing a cover of That's All, the Phil Collins song before Paralyzer on a lot of shows. But yeah, it just changes. Like one of my favorite covers we did is Walk On by Neil Young. We did
yes, I forgot to mention that song. That
was a lot of fun
because research department, they went on strike before I did this interview.
We recorded it in the back of the bus, which was a lot of fun. Like that, when I listened to it, it's like, wow, this is really, it's really live sounding, and it was live sounding, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah. You also did work with James Black's side project. Is that correct? With Moon Boot Cocoon. Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah, I was involved on the writing of some of the songs,
Yeah.
like on a real like early basis, and then him and Tino took that and made it into like its own thing for sure. Yeah, but me and James also do like the country band Blackie Jacket Jr. I don't know if you've heard that, but there's that we do a lot of covers in that world for sure. A lot of old country. And what we like to do? We call it countrifying songs, but we'll take a lot of like Run to the Hills, let's say, by Iron Maiden, or these kind of songs, and we'll do them country style. And it's a lot of fun live.
I think I might actually listen to country if they just listen to you guys to listen to All right. So I'm about to ask you a series of questions that I ask all my guests. When I say all my guests, I mean right now I'm only have had one. So once again, you guys set the bar really high with.
That's funny.
All right. What's your default ringtone?
Do you know the song "Bacon Pancakes" from Adventure Time?
Yes.
Making bacon. That's my ringtone.
Nice. What is the most played song on your iPod?
You know what? Recently, I would have to say it would probably be an Eagles song. Like one of there was this serious run of Eagles when we were making the record. I don't know. It was half in jest and half because I have a lot of love for them from my childhood. But
Yeah.
and that would probably be Take It to the Limit was probably the one that I listened to over and over again while we're gone.
I just literally imagined you guys covering Hotel California. Like, oh, that could be actually really good.
That could be pretty badass, actually.
Hint. What is your guilty pleasure band?
I guess let me think. It's sort of okay. I don't think they're a guilty pleasure. I think they're amazing, but I think this is probably applies would be ABBA. Like ABBA is one of my favorite.
Oh my gosh, yes, I love ABBA so much. Like,
yeah, but I know a lot of people think of them just as like a '70s Swedish disco group, but I think they're unbelievable.
Dancing Queen and Mamma Mia are amazing.
There's a song called Eagle, and I don't know if you know this song. It's not one of their more popular songs. It's awesome. Man.
I have not heard that yet. One of my friends sent me a metal cover of Dancing Queen. I'm like, this is why we're friends.
Yeah, see, that's the sign of a good song, man. If it can cross genres and still be, relevant, it's a good thing.
Oh yeah, so happy you mentioned ABBA. What's your favorite song that you just love to just like belt it out to, no matter how bad or how good it sounds?
Lately, Bob Seger. I would have to say he has a song called what's it called? Rock and Roll Never Forgets, I think is a song. Let me double check. I'm actually looking at it right now. Bob Seger. Yeah, Rock and Roll Never Forgets. That song. I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite songs.
If you could eat one meal for a week, what would it be?
Like, if it didn't kill me because it was so unhealthy, probably chicken fried steak.
Nice.
I love chicken fried steak. I probably couldn't actually eat that for a week without having a heart attack.
Who's your favorite superhero?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know who my favorite superhero is.
The hard-hitting questions on That New Show.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess probably it'd be Rorschach from The Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
And I know he's not like a superhero, like in the typical sense, but he's one of my favorite like heroes in comics for sure.
Nice. To help settle an argument, do you think Mega Man's a superhero?
I don't know. That's a good question. Are video game I guess, yeah, I would think so. Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, if he appeared on the street, I'd be like, "Whoa, that guy's a superhero!" Like, that's action.
Yeah, take that, Matt. And final question: what's your drink of choice?
Alcohol or no alcohol?
Yes.
Coke without whiskey, and then whiskey bourbon without Coke.
Nice.
I fell in love with a bourbon called Buffalo Trace down there, and we consumed many bottles of the Buffalo Trace. So.
Nice. Well, I thank you very, very much for being on the show, Rick. You can find him on Twitter at Rick Jackett. You have Tip, Life Turns Electric, the self-titled CD, which is one of my favorites, Them Versus You Versus Me, Grayest of Blue Skies, and of course, Us versus Them versus Now in stores right now. And also, awesome. You can find, if you find Letters from Chutney, let me know, because I can't seem to find that thing.
You know what? I can't find it either. I don't have a copy of it. That's a bummer. Like, I don't have a copy of our CD.
But... I know. I was like, I'm sitting here, be like, oh, I'm such a fan. So I'm thinking, like, I hope they don't know they don't have Letters from Chutney.
Man, I'm flattered you have those, man. Yeah. That's awesome.
They're in stores right now. I highly recommend you check them out. Rick, thank you again. New CD coming out next year. Do we have a date yet?
We don't. They're talking April.
Okay.
Early spring kind of time. So early next year for sure.
New CD sometime next year.
Rick,
thank you very much for watching. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to click like and subscribe, and we will see you guys next week.